Hi everyone, and welcome back to Balkan Sis, the show that's going to help you navigate the massive challenges of life, motherhood, culture, identity, and belonging with more ease, acceptance, joy, and purpose. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every time to listen, learn, heal, and feel inspired. If you do love the podcast, then do me a huge favour and hit the subscribe button. It really does help spread the word.
Hello, my wonderful humans. Welcome back, my Balkan sisters and brothers. Some brothers are listening, but mainly sisters. Welcome back to another solo episode. Just with me, your host, Ivana. I wanted to say welcome back. I feel like it's been a while. As you can tell, I'm sick and I'm sniffly. I can't even talk English properly today. It's one of those days. My voice is cracking. And I'll try and do my best today. Look, it's been a bit of an interesting day. I gotta say, there's days like that, isn't it? Where just nothing seems to really go your way. And it's easy to get frustrated sometimes, but that's okay. I thought, you know what? Fuck it. I'm dressed up. I'm ready to go. I've got my red lipstick on. I'm gonna record a solo episode with no direct plan whatsoever. I'm like, who's going to listen to this crap? My imposter syndrome comes in. Why am I even going to bother recording? Is anyone even going to listen to any of this? Is it going to be valuable? Or am I just going to be rambling? And you know what? Sometimes we can just really, really overthink things. And I think that's definitely the space that I've been in lately. And I'm breaking that pattern again today. So thankfully, I have you guys who are just always wonderful and encouraging and just, yeah, all around wonderful souls who, I see the numbers, I see all the countries that you guys are from and where everybody listens in. It's pretty awesome. And when you're just in this like room recording, you think to yourself, what's the point? Is anyone even going to listen to this? Is it even going to be of value? And so, yeah, today's episode is going to be a bit of a, I guess, recap, a bit of a what's been happening, and also a few little takeaways for you that I think we can all definitely do with, because with everything that's happening in the world lately, I just feel like we're all in a bit of a spin. We're all just a little bit lost and wondering, and just, yeah, we're all in that in-between phase somewhere, I sense anyway. I don't know about you. You guys can let me know in my DMs or reach out to me online, but I just feel like everybody in this is in this weird halfway place. Not exactly where they used to be, but not exactly where they want to be either. So anyway, what's been happening since the last time I spoke to you guys? So I told you guys that there was going to be a huge secret revealed and I was so excited and everybody wasn't sure what it was. I'm actually pregnant. So I've hit, oh God, I'm almost 20 weeks pregnant. So what is that? Like, my maths is bad. I always sucked at maths. My dad hated that, but yeah, what, 4 months, 5 months? I don't know. It's going really quick. That's all I can say. This pregnancy, it's a little girl, by the way. A little girl. I'm so excited. Um, I've really prayed for this moment. My little one is 5.5 years old now. So since the last time we chatted, so much has happened. So much has happened, as I'm sure has happened in your lives also. But yeah, my little one is at school. He is a big boy now. So he's not in year one quite yet, but here in Australia, they have a grade below that, which is called prep. And yeah, it's basically preparing them, I guess. They are in school, in a school uniform, but it's just preparing them for all the years ahead. So that's been quite a big transition in our lives, as you can imagine, as parents, guiding a beautiful little young man through that. And yeah, so he is thriving, and we've had lots of germs, lots of illness, lots of sickness, hence why we are all sick. The whole family has been sick the last 2 weeks on and off. So yeah, it's been quite the transition, and being his mum, I just want to make sure that he knows that we're there for him, that we love him, and that we are his safe space. So that's been, yeah, a little bit turbulent because little people have big feelings and we need to help them through that. So that's the space and the waters that I've been navigating at. And so juggling that and pregnancy all at the same time amongst everything, it's been definitely, I won't say it's been easy or a piece of cake, but at the same time, I know other people have it much harder than me as well, which I don't discount my own worries by no means, but at the same time, I try and keep a really clear perspective of what's happening. And being a mum and seeing what's happening in the world, seeing what's happening over in Gaza, it's just, yeah. And being a child of war and being a former refugee, it's really triggering. And I actually haven't been talking much about it on socials, online, on podcast, because I just don't know what the solution is. And all I can do is be the change that I want to see in the world. And that's where I start first. And I've seen really going down that rabbit hole, it's very easy to go down a big spiral, a spiral that I've been working on for many years to undo and to come on top of, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of you probably feel the same. You're all listening from so many different places, and it's important to address it. It's important to talk about it and use our voices. And I have in many different ways with our parliaments and our governments. Yeah, it's sad. And I don't know if you guys saw just recently what's been happening in Sydney. There's been quite, like, there was stabbings happening in a shopping centre, all females. Just seeing all this like domestic violence on the rise in the world and just females and children dying everywhere. Not saying men aren't either, but yeah, it's just been really heavy. It's been very heavy post-COVID. It's just, yeah, I feel like last year was that first year where everybody was just like traveling and out and about and doing all these things. But then just seeing these wars, seeing the level of devastation and destruction and killings, the injustice. And I think when you've been in that system and you were a repercussion of all of that, it really hits home in a different way. And for me, I really have to protect myself and protect my energy and protect this little baby because, there can be repercussions to being in that state. And I just really encourage you guys as well, no matter what you're moving through or going through, whether it be grief, whether it be losing a job, whether it be quitting a job, expecting a new baby, raising a baby, I don't know, it could be moving house, whatever transition you're in, to really be mindful of your energy and how to protect your energy also, because we cannot save the world. Obviously, just one person can't, but as a collective, we can make the world a better place. And I think just persist with the notion of be the change you want to see on this planet. And you have to believe that even that small 5% difference, 10% difference is going to make a difference, whether you can see it or not. Yeah, I've had the honor I just recently was asked to be a speaker at the Multicultural Families Organisation here where I live on the sunny Gold Coast. If you guys don't know where that is, you can always Google it. It's very pretty. And I had a room full of refugee and immigrant women, all different ages. I recapped my whole existence in a 20-30 minute video presentation, which was pretty insane. And it was very emotional and moving for me creating that, like going back to the beginnings and visually seeing everything and putting pictures in and putting words in. Yeah, it was very healing, but also triggering at the same time. I think because I work so much on myself to improve and be a better parent and be a better person that, I think sometimes you have to be mindful when you go down those spirals and why. But it was really important that I did that. And every time I do it, it's like a healing process over and over again, like a soothing process. And my sister was in the audience, which was really awesome, and one of my really good friends. And it was really emotional because we lived that tale together, me and my sister. Obviously, my siblings, my parents, grandparents, but I dedicated the presentation to my baba, to my grandmother, which you guys know I have mentioned a lot. And going back to the beginning of just this little person who who had no idea what was coming her way, just this innocent little child, end up in no man's land and to end up in 2 different countries after that and go on this crazy, wild adventure was just absolutely insane. Oh, sorry, guys, my bloody nose. I'm committed, I'm dedicated, I'm doing it. Yeah, I was really just proud of myself, and my husband was there and he gave me lots of hugs the night before when I was building the presentation and refining it and making it perfect. And in the end, I just had to leave it because the more you touch it, the more you ruin it. So sometimes with things like that, it's best just to leave it and not over finesse it. And it was, yeah, just talking in front of those women and seeing them just nodding and seeing them agreeing. It was really refreshing because I was in a room full of people who really understood that walk, that path, which is very tricky in Australian society when you're in rooms with people who would have no idea what any of that feels like. Being a foreigner, learning a new language, having all these challenges stacked up against you, looking different, talking different, having a different mentality. It's insane. And I remember one of the ladies asking me there, who was Australian, she said, "Oh, how long do you think it took you to get used to being here, to assimilate?" And I really had to stop and think about that question because to a degree, even after 26 years, I'm still assimilating. I'm still getting used to it. And I know for you guys as well, who are in Germany, who are in America, who are in all these different places, you never truly become that American or German. You will never be them because you didn't have that full exposure, maybe, or that full upbringing, or maybe you did, but you got brought up in a different mentality. So it's actually really, how can I say, irrelevant where you are growing up. Of course, the environment's important, but it's more so what's going on at home and how you're being raised and what mentality you're being raised in. I think that's really important to mention. So it was really interesting answering a lot of those questions. There's so many layers to this former refugee experience, and it's something that I'm really learning to embrace and not be ashamed of. For a long time, I wish that I had a different experience. I would cry and say to my husband, I just wish I was normal. I just wish that I had the childhood you had and that I didn't have these scars or these experiences or these memories. And he just always reminds me that it's what makes me awesome. It's what makes me who I am. And yeah, embracing who you are is a real great big challenge because we just live in such a world that continuously tells us females that we are not awesome, we are not perfect, we are not whole, that we need XYZ to make us be a certain way. So as you get older, I think it's a real acceptance of all your scars and all your experiences. And I know that all the women who are listening today to this probably feel the same as well. And when you look at yourself now as an adult, reflecting back on that little you, I just hope that you can reflect back in the same way as what I did with that presentation. And even do something like that for yourself, even put together a slideshow of your life for you, put together a book, write it out in a letter, in a chronological time order. And it gives you this ability to really zoom out and get a bird's eye view of your experience as a whole. Because often we can really focus on the micro problems we have in our life. Like, someone beeped at me yesterday and I cracked the shits. I was doing the right thing. I put my indicator on, and yeah, it's like all those little things during the day can be so triggering when you feel like, oh God, people are just on my back today. But I think it's important to make time, to cultivate time for those reflections. If you don't make time, it will never be given. And that's something that I really talk to a lot of mums about. And I remember someone telling me that because I was complaining how tired I was and how I didn't have time, and this little baby's consuming every part of me. And that person basically didn't show me any mercy, but was very caring and had the right intent and said to me, you have to claim it. You got to claim it and you have to create it. Nobody will give it to you. And I just thought, she's absolutely correct. So that's what I tell all my clients and all the women that I work with. Claim that time, because it will never just come naturally. It will never just, in the world that we live in, the rat race that we live in, it will never come naturally, unfortunately. We don't live like how we lived in the 1950s, 60s, or 70s, or 80s. Times have really changed. And I hope that in your life, in some pockets of time, you can cultivate that peace and do what brings you joy, whatever that joy is, whether it be reflecting on things and healing who you used to be, whether it be improving on something, on a new skill, or educating yourself on something that you're really passionate about, whether it be connecting with friends and family. You really gotta drive those new beginnings, because otherwise you'll just stay stuck, and that's the hard part. And getting unstuck is the trickiest thing ever. And I think it's that constant dance, this constant tennis match that you have with yourself, that you also have with your partner, where you're constantly learning about each other. And also for yourself, it's a constant learning and unlearning about who you are and what you want out of your life. Yeah, it's been a wild and busy and also, funnily enough, boring time, because I've spent the first 3 months just stressing. My first pregnancy, excuse me, was a miscarriage. So yeah, the first 3 months was just stressing. It was just, I was trying not to, I didn't want to, but it was just happening naturally. It was just consuming me. Oh my God, what's going to happen if I lose this baby? And just hearing all these like birth stories, good birth stories, and I didn't have a good birth story, or quote unquote good, whatever good means to you, but I did all the right things. How did I end up in that situation? And just feeling really triggered and highly sensitive for the first 3 months. And eventually I sought help and I engaged a private midwife. I have a doula, someone who's going to help me out. Yeah, I think it's really essential in those moments to build yourself back up and get yourself out of those moments, because it's so easy to stay there, and it's so easy to stay paralyzed and stuck with fear and fear of the unknown. That's what I thought I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to do a catch-up episode, and then I'm also going to give some golden nuggets, it's Wednesday, so I say Wednesday wisdom, whatever you want to call it, however you want to take it is up to you. But yeah, if you go right back to my first episode, which was I think over 2.5 years ago, I expressed my wishes to mentor people and to coach people, and I had been for so many years, but very unofficially. So I'm proud to say that, yeah, I've helped a lot of humans, and they've helped me in return, because it does fulfill me when I get to work with people. It's really fulfilling. And even though we have a business that my husband and I run together, it's really important for me that I do something for myself that I'm really passionate about, because I feel like God or the universe or whatever you want to call it doesn't give you all these challenges for no reason. And I feel like if you are the reason, then you have to share it. If you have a gift, it's really awesome if you can share it, you can multiply it, and you can help others. So I just hope whatever season you're in at the moment, that you can take stock of whatever has been happening in your life, or maybe hasn't been happening in your life. And I'll use one example. I actually have a very good friend who's probably going to be listening to this episode because I spoke to her before this recording, and she's absolutely fantastic. She's great. I just actually met her at a recent sip and paint, and we share a very similar story. She was a lot older than me in the war, and she lost a lot of people in her life, a father and grandmother and everything, and it's really sad. And I hope she's okay with me mentioning it. I'm not naming names, but you know who you are. And it just reminded me of that common thread and why I started this podcast in the first place. There we are doing the sip and paint. Majority of the people there are Australian. She's Serbian, I'm Croatian, and we're sitting there and we're doing this painting and we're talking, and we're just so casually and calmly talking about trauma and death and war and genocide and all these things, motherhood, mental health, self-development, all these things. And it just struck me. And then afterwards I said, let's go for coffee. So the only thing that was open was McDonald's. So we went for a coffee at McDonald's, and no kafanas here, unfortunately. And once I got home, I really reflected on that evening, and I thought to myself, what other people from other cultural groups can you sit there and talk to in that way? so calmly, so humbly, without anybody getting upset, talking about such big things. And that's what I love about our community. And that's what I love about our people. And I know there's so many negative things about the Balkans and Balkan people and us as a collective and all the things that have gone wrong and all these things. But there's also so much positivity and so much growth and so much change that's happening within our communities at the moment. And maybe it's not moving as fast as what we would like to see it. But like I always come back to that, be the change that you want to see in the world. There's no use sitting there and complaining and saying it's crap. We can all make a difference. We really can. And all, even just 1%, 5%, it all adds up at the end of the day. One of the things I wanted to touch on today is I've been having a lot of conversations with my clients and with myself also about transitions. Everybody talks about all this toxic positivity online, and I'm so sick of seeing all these offers and people sending me private messages and even people sending me shit on LinkedIn. I just hate it. I just mentioned in my stories today on Instagram, it's as if somebody comes to you, the door knockers, the preachers. It's like, how dare you come to my house, to my door, and tell me that what I'm doing isn't good enough or that I should change or my faith isn't sufficient enough. And that's how I feel as well when we're online. We're so bombarded with so many messages from left and center, from all over the place. My biggest wish is literally just to unfollow everybody and have 0 followers or have a few people that I'm following that I really admire. But let's come back to the voice of reason and let's come back to ourselves and us as a collective, as a community. There's so much stimulation out there in the world that we are just racing from place to place. And I don't want to live like that. And that's why I got sick. I just got exhausted. You just feel like you're in this hamster wheel and you're just in this rat race and you're chasing your tail. That's what I'm gathering from most of the people around me anyway, and all the conversations I have with others. And a lot of the stuff that coaches preach is about productivity hacks and how can you do things better and how can you do things quicker, and preaching to women, telling them you can do it all, you can do this, you can do that. Yes, I can do everything, but there's usually a price to pay. There's usually a cost. And that cost is feeling unwell, and that cost is feeling unwell in our bodies and our bodies being triggered. So if you are sore somewhere, if you have gut or digestive issues, it's generally linked to that because something's got to give somewhere. So at some stage, you have to make a decision to look after yourself, and not just in physical form or what you're putting in your mouth, like just in your belief system overall, what you're consuming, how you're consuming it, the thoughts you have before you go to bed, like all those little things. And I'm by no means a guru here to tell you this is what you should do before you go to bed or this should be your morning routine. I hate shit like that. Like, I've never been one to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go for a run. That's just not, what excites me. And I'm sure a lot of you are like that. And if you are the 5 a.m. runner, that's bloody awesome. That's great. But we all have our zone of genius, and we all have times where we flourish or like times where we're most effective. So my biggest thing that I want to say to whoever is listening is find out your 5 whys. Generally, when I'm feeling really overwhelmed and really stimulated and just feeling like really stuck with where I am, you need to cultivate a bit of time and a bit of presence. So sit yourself down on a mat, sit yourself down in your bed, whatever that means. If it means your hubby or your partner or family or taking your little one away to the park for an hour to do whatever you want with that time. I hate it when people guilt trip other people in, oh, watching Netflix is so bad for you, or TV, or don't doom scroll, or don't be on your phone. Let's just stop telling other people how to fucking live. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. A good coach and a good mentor is not going to tell somebody how to live, or a good practitioner. Like, your job as a healer or a person who works with others is to leave clues, is to leave breadcrumbs so that person can connect the dots by themselves. You cannot heal anyone and you cannot change anyone. And that has to start with you, with the person within. And I think we've lost all sense of critical thinking. We've lost all sense of how do I do something? Because we literally outsource all our thinking. And people say, oh, if you don't like doing something, just outsource it to the cleaners. If you don't want to clean, just pay someone, they'll clean. But it's, hang on, not everybody has money to outsource all their living. So what do we do when we're overwhelmed, when we're overstimulated, when we can't even maybe afford therapy? Let's be real here. People constantly spruik therapy. When here in Australia, one session can be upwards between $160 and $250. And the system will only rebate you or return you maybe $50 of that or $60 of that, but you still have to make up the difference. So for you to go to therapy to talk to someone 1 hour at a time, if you look at your whole entire life and your whole entire existence, 1 hour is nothing. Or people who are paying coaches tens of thousands of dollars to accelerate them. There's so much work we can do on ourselves that's for free, but obviously it's very emotionally taxing. So I say do things in bite sizes. I always feel like we're most effective when we're doing things little by little. I know that some people might be in a space and time where they think, shit, I just need to get away. I just need to get away and I need 6 days to myself. And that's fucking great. If you can do that, if you're a mom or a girl or a lady or whatever, a businesswoman, take that time for yourself. By all means, if you can, bloody do it. I advocate for that. But if you can't, that's also okay. Maybe a different method will be, will work better for you. But what I always like to come back to is my 5 whys. So who, what, when, where, and why. So, who is you. Is the who your partner? Are they making you upset? Your husband? What is it? Is it a friend? Is it a boss? Who is triggering that emotion? And it's important to sit with yourself and figure out fact from fiction. What is it about? What is hurting you? What is the problem? What is the issues that are troubling you in this current moment? What is on your plate? And what can you take off that plate to make life a little bit easier for yourself? And the when is the timing. So when did this occur? When did this happen? Maybe there is an incident that happened 20 years ago, 26 years ago, and I still get triggered by that. So as much as it's a journey and there's no end destination, it's important to categorize time-wise as well. Like for me, for example, timing is really important. And I decided after 5 years I want to have a baby. And here I am, pregnant. Some people are shocked by that. Oh my God, I can't believe you're going back again 5 years after. Whereas I was looking at their journey. Oh, I can't believe you went back into having a second kid just a year after your first kid. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't fathom that. We are all on a different time schedule, and do not play the comparison game in terms of I should have done this then, or I should have started when I got out of school. Like the best time to start is now. That is the best takeaway from today. Please, if you take anything away from what I've said today, the best time is now. If you want to start exercising, if you want to, eat better, if you want to call someone and apologize, if you want to tell someone what you're really, truly thinking and feeling, just start now. There's no perfect time. And I think people just want this recipe for life and a 10-step program. Like it's not an AA meeting. Your life's not a whole AA meeting where you think, oh, there's a 7 to 10-step plan and then that's going to get me well. It's, yes, you can have things that you can abide by or guidelines, but I don't like to live like that because it's restrictive. So I like to give myself a lot of freedom and spontaneity in how I approach problems or issues or experiences. And the biggest thing is, timing. You're on your own timeline. There is no timeline to grief. I remember when my baba died, I was reading about grief and it was like 7 stages of grief. And I was like, okay, what stage am I in? Okay, cool. I've only got 3 stages to go. And then those stages passed and then 10 years passed. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm like on the 2nd stage still. What the hell is happening? Because life doesn't work that way. Life is forever evolving, and so are we. So putting all these heavy expectations on yourself And these timelines, oh, I'm 35, I should be married, I should have a kid. I'm this age, I should be this. I'm this age, I should be that. Get rid of the shoulds, throw them in the fucking bin, and just do things in your own way at your own timeline. And I'm so proud that I've done that, and I don't really give a shit what other people think. I'm so happy that I'm pregnant and that I have a large age gap between my children. And I know other people who feel that way about having a smaller age gap between their kids, and that's great as well. So just remember, stay in your own lane. Don't compare your journey to other people, and you will figure it out. Even starting a new business, there is no right way. Just fucking start, make a page, create a website, do whatever it is you want to do, and then let it evolve from there. You don't have to have all the answers now. And the where is, it's also this thing with the whole where, like my mind straight away goes to a location because funnily enough, okay, I want to tell you guys a story, just a segue. Andrew and I, ever since my son was born, we have been watching House Hunters International, and I'm obsessed with that show. So I don't know if you've watched it. You can find some episodes on YouTube. And basically, when I would be in the rocking chair feeding him all alone, just like super depressive, I would be watching this show, and it just took me mentally to another place. It was basically people from America or other places who are relocating to Italy or France or Australia or wherever. And then they were moving their families, starting a new life. And that just seemed so exciting for me. And for the last 5 years, that show has been my mental escape whenever I'm struggling with something. I put on an episode and it makes me feel just so much better and so calm. But I said to my husband, and we've been talking for so many years about relocating to Europe and living overseas and going back to my roots and taking the family there and connecting back with the heritage and all my family, aunts and uncles there and cousins. And I said to my husband just the other day, we met some lovely new people. So my son just recently started, you'll know how this story ties in all together, okay, with the where. But recently I put my son into tennis, and we met some wonderful, lovely people through our school community who are all foreigners, which I totally did not expect for where we live, to be honest. And one of my biggest fears was my son won't have cultural immersion, or my son won't have cultural exposure. He won't really know that there's a different out there. And to my surprise, God, universe surprised me, and we met these wonderful people who are very international, very culturally diverse, and it's been bloody awesome getting to know them. And then through tennis and through them, I decided I'll pop my little one in, see how he goes, see if he likes it. He doesn't have to be a tennis star. It just is to kill an hour in the afternoon after school. And we met also lovely people there. We met a lovely mother there, and once again, so culturally diverse, so smart, so clever, and also happens to make French pastries, which I literally died when she told me that. I told her I'm pregnant, I love sweets, so we're going to be best friends for life. But we all went out for dinner together. And when we did a toast, I just said, let's toast to new beginnings for everybody. And I remember we went home that night, and my husband, and I hugged him, and we just had such a nice time. And he said, wow, it's so refreshing to be around culturally diverse people, really clever, really humble, really smart, really mature people who also happen to be parents and have really great kids. And I just remember thinking, perhaps maybe it's not about living somewhere else and fulfilling that need, or thinking, oh, I'm going to escape everything. I'm going to go to this different destination and start a new life. That's what's required. Maybe it's about introducing that part of that show, or that part of that adventure or cultural diversity into your everyday life. So think of ways that you can infuse a bit of that into your everyday life. And I think we all have these big picture plans, which are really awesome. But think of how we can cultivate that little slice of heaven, or that little slice of paradise into our bedroom, into our home, into our living area, whatever it might be, into your cooking, and start small. Our house is not the biggest place. It's not the smallest place, but right now we're also renovating, which I don't know why we are doing that to ourselves, but anyway, we are. And we're doing a bit of an extension in the living area, which is really awesome. And we've changed where the door is and everything. And it's amazing, what can come from just changing where you live, changing your surroundings. It doesn't necessarily always mean that you have to jump on a plane and go to Bali to seek peace. So I think it's really important to remember that not everyone has the privilege to travel or the money to take their family to all these places. So how can you cultivate a little bit of that peace, a little bit of that adventure, or whatever it is that you're seeking into your everyday life? So that's really important to remember. So when you're getting frustrated and wound up about maybe you're working a lot and you can't take a break, okay, what are some simple things that I can do in my day-to-day basis or on Saturday when I have a day off to cultivate that vision or that plan or that piece, whatever it might be. So I hope that makes sense. And then obviously your why. So your why is really important. Why you do anything in life. A lot of mums will tell you, oh, I do it for the kids and my husband. And a lot of parents will tell you it's for the children. That's great. I say the same thing as well. But I've reframed my thinking around that. Why are you doing it? And I think when you're starting to get frustrated, when you're starting to not see results, when you're just starting to feel flat and just a little bit stuck in those transitions, just remember your progress. Remember where you started. So this can tie back into the where. Remember where you started. And I bet you if you look back to where you started, you're going to be like, holy fucking crap. I've come such a long way. Even just from yesterday to today, I've come such a long way. And no one is going to hand you that. Barely any people, well, if you have really good friends around you, they'll turn around and say, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And I do that a lot with people around me. I really say it. I'm very verbal that way and intentional. And it's important we voice that as well when we see it in others from where they started to where they are now. Wow, man, I'm so proud of you. But your why is really underpinning and underlying the biggest message of all. Why are you doing anything? And of course, you can ask yourself all day, why am I posting this video? Or why am I going to pick up my kid? Sometimes you just got to do shit that you don't like, especially when you're a parent. It's not my favorite thing to sit at a park, but I know why I'm there because it makes my kid happy, right? And when my kid's happy, I'm deeply fulfilled as well and happy. So it's really important to remember your why. And you can even write out your why. You can even get pen to paper and just remember, what are you living for? What am I living for? And why am I doing these things? Why am I self-procrastinating? Or why am I so? It's a process of self-inquiry. So instead of outsourcing, oh, is this normal, and typing it in on Google that I feel this way after XYZ, well, of course it's normal if you've gone through a breakup or someone that you love has passed away or whatever. Of course those feelings of transitions are normal. And I think we all just always want to be in a good place. I think us humans are addicted to that like oxytocin, that feel good, where we constantly want to be in a good place. But that is ethically and humanly unsustainable. And I know a lot of people spruik that, you can feel that way all the time. You just have to have ice baths. You just have to go into this bloody cold therapy and all this shit and whatever. The whole point is, can you sit in the discomfort? Can you sit in the unknown? Can you sit in the unpredictability or in those transitions? And, you have to have such deep faith in yourself that, fuck, I made it out alive in every other instance. So what's different here? What lessons are waiting for me here today in this transition? And I've had sometimes really tough transitions where I've struggled to accept something for 5 years. And then boom, overnight, it just happens. I'm fine with it. And other times you have to push yourself along sometimes. Just recently, I did a cord cutting workshop. And I did that by myself, just in my office, and released a lot and cried and did these rituals. And I felt so much better for it. And I got sick after that. Go figure. So maybe it's definitely connected, but maybe it is, where you're letting go. Letting go is the hardest. Letting go of the picture you have in your head of how things should be. But at the end of there's divine timing for everything. So it comes back to the timing. And I think you just have to have faith that God is conspiring good for you and that you wouldn't be giving these challenges unless you could handle them. And there's so much good shit waiting for you around the corner. I just know it. So whoever's listening, please just remember, in whatever transition period you're in, or wherever you are in the who, what, when, where, and why inquiry. Just have faith. Have some faith in yourself that things are going to work out for you. They're going to go your way. And as I'm telling you this message, I'm also saying that to myself because it's a constant work. And sometimes you can put that work down. You're allowed to put the tools down and decompress. I think there's so much online about healing yourself and healing, and it's work, and you got to do the work. You got to do the work. But life should also be fucking enjoyable. It should be enjoyable. You've got your job, you've got your kids, you've got this, you've got a mortgage, you've got all these things. And on top of that, you have to work on yourself. Like, this was never a notion like 30, 40 years ago. I'm pretty sure my parents never thought that they had to actively work on themselves. They were just being. They were just being. And we can criticize them for not being aware enough and not being woke enough and all these things. But at the same time, that's all they knew then. And sometimes I feel like having too much knowledge and too much information can really work against us. It's okay to put the heavy shit down. It's okay to lay it down for a minute and give yourself a break and give yourself a rest. And by no means don't feel guilty for napping, for sleeping, for resting, for eating a burger and chips and some Coke. Honestly, there's just, like I said, so much stigma out there on what you're feeding yourself and how you're thinking and how you should be. And yeah, I just know I'm not all about that. I'm all about driving conversation, reminding people to slow down and going back to your why every single day. And if you can remember that, then you're absolutely on the right track. You're on your track, on your own timeline. So please don't compare it to anybody else. But I hope that's helped. Yeah, I didn't know what I was going to come on with today. I thought, who's even going to listen? Who even cares? Just the whole self-imposter shit that we all feel when we're about to do something. I felt the same. I feel the same way when I get invited to speaking gigs, to do presentations. I'm like, why? Why does anybody want to hear from me? That's so strange. But then I go off and I do it. I really enjoy it and I love it. And I love the feedback I get and I grow from it. Sometimes you can be your own best friend and your own worst enemy. And all you can do is just continue to be brave, continue to do what's scary. And remember that, yeah, we can do hard things, right? We've done them before. We'll do them again. And that's the only constant in life is change. And as awkward and shitty as it is sometimes, I hope that you can embrace it a little bit more today and know that there's some gold in there. There's some rainbows waiting at the end of it. Have faith, continue to trust in yourself, and know that there's other people out in the world who care about your perseverance, who care about your journey, who care about the greater good of humanity. I just sent a text to a friend before saying I'm happy and fulfilled when people are around me living their purpose, they're happy, they're fulfilled, they're healthy. That's what drives me. That's what motivates me. And yeah, just continue to be your wonderful, shiny, sparkly self and show up when you can. I haven't shown up on here for quite some time and I hate that. I ultimately want to be showing up every single week. And I'm still working on that. I do this whole podcast on my own. I will be getting sponsors on board. So I definitely want to get more sponsors on board so that it can make it sustainable for the long run. So if you do have a business or you do have a page or you do something cool, you have a side hustle or a full-time hustle, reach out to me, send me a message, send me an email, see how we can collaborate. I want to run some ads for people who do really cool stuff in the Balkan community and beyond. And I have some awesome guests planned to come on that are really great and really valuable. And then in between also, I just want to record my own episodes and hope that they bring value to you. And if I do have help on board and sponsorship, then it means that I can bring more and I can give more. So by any means, if you're listening, reach out to me, or if you know somebody who would benefit from this episode as well, please share it with them. Because you've seen how many podcasts there is out there. So many. Not that many Balkan female-driven ones. So there's a lot about politics, there's a lot about ex-Yugoslavia, there's a lot about business talks, and just a lot about that like political dynamic, which I'm not about. I'm more just about healing and improving who we are and improving that as a collective as well. And there's no real outline or strategy. It's very organic. And it's very based off how I'm feeling and how we're feeling as a collective. And yeah, I just want to bring that to the surface and bring that to light and hope that it makes a positive difference. And no matter where you are, whether it be driving a car, doing your dishes, doing the washing, I hope that you took something away from today's conversation and that it impacted you in a positive way. So don't forget your 5 whys. You can even write them out. I don't want to be like a teacher and give you homework. If you have a little bit of spare time throughout the day, whenever that is, don't feel guilty or bad to take some time out for yourself and really nurture you, because you absolutely deserve it. You don't need the permission. So here's your permission slip to go and do it. And I'll definitely come back with another cool episode after this one. If you have any guest recommendations, if you want to be a guest, definitely just reach out to me online. Very active online, wherever it be. And let's chat, let's connect, and I'll talk to you guys soon. So sending all my love. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day or night, no matter where you are. Make sure to reach out. Always love connecting with you guys. So that way it doesn't feel like I'm just talking into a microphone to nobody. And I know that it's reaching many ears and many places and many countries. Also, if you want some episodes in our native language, happy to do those. And yeah, bring more business, more community, more personals, whatever you want. You guys drive the conversation and reach out to me. We'll make it happen. All right, beautiful humans. Thanks for being here today. And I will see you guys very shortly again. Ciao. Bye.
So that was the episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And as ever, if you did, please consider sharing it with your loved ones and leaving me a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It really does make a difference to the number of Balkan sisters that we can reach with the brilliant wisdom that my guests and I share. Thanks for being here. I doviđenja.